What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I want to talk about Dave Ramsey and 3 things that I actually agree with Dave Ramsey on. Now this video may come as a surprise to many of you guys because I did a video a while back on why I didn't agree with Dave Ramsey and why I think his advice, especially when it comes on to credit cards, isn't correct, because his advice is to never use credit cards and to stay away from credit cards. And I've personally used credit cards and I've never paid any interest. I've never gotten into any debt and I never went bankrupt, and I got rewards, or I get rewards, and I make money from credit cards and all the credit cards that I have. So I listened to Dave Ramsey's program and a lot of things that he was saying that were bad about credit cards and how credit cards would destroy your life. And actually these things weren't playing out with my finances, and so I wasn't able to relate with what Dave Ramsey was saying and the things that he was talking about. Now, I still listen to Dave Ramsey a lot, especially when he talks about other topics, because he does give good advice, but I spent some more time listening to Dave Ramsey on credit cards, and I realized why Dave Ramsey doesn't like credit cards, and I actually started to agree with Dave Ramsey on the whole idea of credit cards because now I understand some more of where he's coming from. So if you're watching this video or this channel, this means that you guys are in the small minority of people, probably only 5% or even less of people who actually plan out their finances and try to manage their money well. And so chances are, if you're watching this video, you will have a good credit score, or you're working on getting a good credit score. You have little to no debt, or you have debt, or even if you have debt rather, then you're working on paying that debt off, and you have a very good idea of how you should use credit cards to your advantage. So for the rest of the population and the majority of people out there today, they usually have no idea of how a credit card actually works. And so what they'll do is they'll apply for some credit card, they'll get approved, and they'll, let's say, get a credit line of $10,000 on that credit card. They'll go spending, they'll spend that credit card or use the money to purchase vacations, they'll go shopping, and they'll use the credit card until they hit that limit. Now, when they hit the limit, that is when they'll actually start to think about paying for that credit card or paying for the things that they use that credit card to purchase. And then they start making the minimum payments, and by then it's too late because the interest is adding up every single day. And most of these people will then apply for another credit card, max it out, and then they'll keep doing the same thing until they're in thousands and thousands of dollars of debt. So because Dave Ramsey knows this, this is why he has this rule or this stance against credit cards, because he knows that the average person, or for the majority of people today, they have no idea of how credit cards work, and they're probably not interested in learning how a credit card works. They're going to get themselves into debt and a lot of trouble. They're going to lose a lot of money with credit cards, and so this is why he says stay away from credit cards. So in this video, I'm going to tell you guys 3 things that I actually heard from Dave Ramsey that I agree with, and these are probably things that I didn't agree with before, but now I understand where Dave Ramsey is coming from, and I do agree with him on these 3 main things. Now, just before we get into all the info in this video, I just want to say that we'll be kicking this video off with a $100 giveaway. 4 lucky winners of $25 won each week, and all you have to do is to comment below. I'll be using a software that randomly chooses a comment from one of my recent videos, and then hop on over to my website, subscribe with your email address, as that's how we'll be announcing the winners every single week. Also, if you're new to the channel and this is the first time that you're seeing me or coming across this channel, my name is Eann, and on this channel I talk about ways to make money, ways to save money, ways to invest your money. I talk about bank accounts and credit cards and everything to do with personal finance. So if you like these videos and you like these types of topics, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. I'll really appreciate it. It's 100% free to give this video a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing to the channel, and that way you'll never miss the updates of when I post new videos, which is every single day. So let's jump right back into credit cards and what I agree with Dave Ramsey on. And first of all, I'd like to share some statistics with you guys. And in 2019 in the US, this is the amount of money that credit card companies spent on advertising. So you can see here that they spent billions of dollars on advertising their credit cards, and they didn't just do this because they had millions or billions of dollars to waste. They did this because they know that the rate of return on these hundreds of millions that each of these credit card companies spent would be very high. Now, if we look at some other statistics, we can see how much credit card companies made from credit card interest last year. And if you look at each of these companies, you realize that they made billions, and each company made billions of dollars from credit card interest alone. So they spent hundreds of billions of dollars each on advertisements, and then they made billions of dollars each on credit card interest alone. Now remember, there are other fees that come with credit cards. There are annual fees, there are late charges, and a bunch of other fees. So this isn't the entire picture on how much money credit card companies are making every single year. Also, you have to take into consideration that the average person will look at a cashback rewards credit card, and they'll see 5% in cashback, and they'll just use that as an excuse to go and spend more on that credit card, thinking that they'll be getting 5% in cashback, when all they're really doing is purchasing things that they don't really need for 5% in cashback, which just makes them spend more money. So Dave Ramsey could probably come out and say, hey guys, this is how you use a credit card properly. You need to spend only what you can afford to spend, and you need to pay your bills in full every month, and then take advantage of the perks of these credit cards. But Dave Ramsey probably already knows that the majority of people are either, one, not going to listen to this, and secondly, the majority of people are not even going to try to learn how to properly use a credit card. And so he just says, you know what? Don't use credit cards. They're bad. And so I agree with him, because the average person, or 90% of the population, credit cards will definitely be bad, and credit cards will definitely get people into a lot of trouble and into a lot of debt. So if you're watching this video and you're trying to learn about credit cards, or you know about credit cards, then that's great. But if you're not interested in learning how to properly use a credit card, then you're probably better off just staying away from credit cards altogether. Now, the second thing that I agree with Dave Ramsey on is the point he makes about paying off your house or your mortgage early and doing a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year mortgage, and putting 20% down on a down payment on a home before you purchase it, and avoiding PMI and other fees. Now, for most of you guys watching this channel, you may say, no, this is not good advice, because instead of paying your house off in 15 years, you could use the extra payments that you would be making. You could use that money and invest in probably the stock market, or in crypto, or in your own business, and you get even more returns, and that would be a better use of your money than throwing it at your mortgage. Now, this can be true, but this only works for the small percentage of people who want to, or who know to manage their finances really well. And secondly, they know how to invest money and how to get really good returns on that money that they've invested. For the majority of the population, they don't know what to invest in, they don't know how to invest, and they probably don't know how to properly manage their finances and their money. So paying off their home would be best in terms of helping them to build wealth. So for example, if after 15 years the average person has no housing debt, then they can use all the money that they would be throwing at a mortgage to build more wealth, combined with other income that they have. Now, I'm sure that Dave Ramsey knows that he could come out and he could teach people and tell them how to properly manage their finances, but he also knows that the majority of people are, one, not interested in the subject, and secondly, even if they learn, they won't be consistent with managing their finances for over 30 years. So this is the best option for the average person who isn't really good with their finances, which sadly is the majority of the population right now. So if you're watching this video and you have some business or some investments, you actually know how or where to invest your money, then using those extra mortgage payments towards your business will actually help you to get a better return on your money. But for the person who doesn't know how to invest, and who doesn't have a business, and who isn't really good with their finances, paying off their house early would be the best financial option, especially when you think about inflation. Now, the third point that I really agree with Dave Ramsey on is student loan debt. Now, again, most people just think that they will go to college, they'll get the degree, and they will get this high-paying job. They'll make a lot of money, but they never really look at these statistics, and they don't realize that most people that go to college right now don't get the jobs that they want, and sometimes they end up going back to college for another career, and even if they do get the job, they aren't able to make the amount of money that they thought that they would be making after getting that degree. So they have this massive student loan debt which they can't pay for because of their low salary, or a lower than expected salary. And this is why Dave Ramsey recommends that you try to pay for college out of pocket, that you try to pick the right career, and also use in-state schools and grants, then take a look at the job market and pick a job or a career that is actually in demand, and not just something that you think you will like doing because you could go to school and you could get this degree and it will cost you $250,000 in student loan debt. At the end of it, you won't be able to get a job in the field, and you may get another job that only pays you $50,000 per year, and then you're stuck with a $250,000 student loan and you're not able to pay that loan off, and this just ruins your financial future. Now, of course, you could look at the careers out there and you could go into student loan debt and you could get a job and you could definitely pull this off because some people do, but most people simply assume that they will get the job if they have the degree, and they don't really put that much thought into the current job market and how many people are actually out there with the same degrees or similar degrees that are not working in the field because they simply can't find a job, or even if they find a job, it doesn't pay them the expected salary. So this is why Dave Ramsey says just don't do it. Don't get into student loan debt because you're going to regret it and you're most likely going to end up in a lot of debt that you won't be able to get yourself out of. So Dave Ramsey's advice is actually very good, especially for the majority of the population. And now I'm understanding why Dave Ramsey says that credit cards are bad and that you should pay off your house as quickly as possible. You should never get into student loan debt. And these points are definitely not a one size fits all, but for the majority of people out there, it would be better for them to listen and take Dave Ramsey's advice rather than trying to invest their money, or instead of making extra mortgage payments and avoiding credit card debt and just using a debit card and also staying away from student loan debt. So I want you guys to comment below and tell me what you think about Dave Ramsey's advice. Do you actually agree with what I'm saying in this video? Do you think that Dave Ramsey's advice is good but only for the majority of people? Or do you think that Dave Ramsey's advice is still bad? Comment below and let me know. So as always, I hope this video was helpful, and if you like this type of content, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the updates of when I post new videos, which is every single day. Once again, thanks for watching, all the best, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next one.